Right, so today we're gonna talk about the quotations asked in ethics paper, and there have been always and every year they have certain quotations, and you need to write what do you mean by that, or what those quotations have relevance to you. So let's just start. So how to handle these quotes? Generally, every year they have three quotes, 10 marks each. So this has a 30 marks component out of your 250 marks. And in every quote question, they start with the main question is, what do each of the following quotations mean to you? Right, mean to you is very important. How? So we'll see. So and then after writing this question statement, they have three different quotes, and you need to write on each of them for 10 marks, so 10 marks each. So there are few things you need to know on writing this quotation questions. First of all, you need not have that in-depth study about any particular philosopher, thinker, or even the context in which that quote has been said. Right? It may have been a situation where that quote is for an altogether different context, right? But if you find any such quote, like one of the quotes which was asked this year on Erik Erikson. So he is basically a psychologist, right? But what that quote means to you, you need not go into the depth of the 8 stages of development which he has talked in his psychological theory. But what do you mean by it, and what relevance does that quote have? Right, so there are few things which we'll talk, what is expected and what you need to write. So first of all, you need to, in every quote question, there is one, at least one core principle or core value associated with it, right? So you need to identify what is the core value or the ethical principle, if at all that quote is signifying. You need to identify that and then elaborate on it. There are various aspects. This is four aspects to be covered in the answer. You first of all, in every quotation questions, you need to write what do you mean by that quote in layman language, right? So that could be a quote. Most of them are understood at first glance, but then there could be quotes understanding which would require at least reading them twice, right? So so interpreting what does it mean to a simple person in a simple English, right? That is the first part. Next, you need to write what is its importance, right? What is its application in the real life for the individual, for the society, and especially if it is applicable for the civil servant, right? How can he apply this particular value, this particular ethical principle, or this particular quote in his public life, public dealings, in his day-to-day life? So application is important, right? So example or application for that quote or the value would be around the similar lines. Again, you can probably, if at all there is a chance, you can link it to the ethical topic, issues, debates, whatever topics are there in your syllabus, whatever you know of the subject. If you are able to link it, right, write something from some theory perspective on that quote, right? One or two line maybe, that also gives another dimension to your quote. And any other dimension if you can think of, right? Any other um, maybe a fact or data, or maybe something contemporary, right? On that quote, right? So these are some of the things which you can elaborate upon, basically showcasing that you understand the quote, right? Understand its importance, what you gain of it, right? What learning you gain, how it is applicable for individual, society, in professional sphere, for the civil servant in particular, right? How is it related to ethics, right? And is there any contemporary aspect associated to it, right? So essentially we need to think on these lines. There may be one or two things which are not there, but then generally it gives you a way to write or think on multiple dimensions for one quote. So let's start with one of the quote which is asked in this 2021 paper, which is a quote by Eric Erikson. He is a psychoanalyst, just the likes of Sigmund Freud, and he has given his theory. He has talked about identity crisis. He has talked about 8 stages of psychological development of human, and he has his own theoretical background. He has his own psychology, or the content and context in which he has written this particular quote, right? But then, as I said in the last slide, that the first main stem question is, what does this quote mean to you, right? That UPSC is interested in. So let's read it. Life doesn't make any sense without interdependence. We need each other, and the sooner we learn it, it is better for all of us, right? So basically, if you read it at the first glance itself, you can find it that this is about the importance of other human being, right? It is about um, the social cohesion. It is about the interdependence, right? We cannot जो हिंदी में कहते हैं अकेला चना भाड़ नहीं फोड़ सकता, ठीक है? So it's like we are interdependent on each other. We kind of help each other to grow, right? Grows in a we kind of work with each other for a synergy, right? So that ways, this particular quote is regarding the social dependence or interdependence, right? So it's about social capital, you can understand, or social cohesiveness, right? It is also about the friendliness, care kind of a concept, like we study in our classes, the care ethics, right? So one of the theories of ethics is the feminist ethics or care ethics, popularized by Carol Gilligan, and there we talk something about interdependence, right? So you can bring it from there also, right? How the typical male dominance of ethics has been replaced with your care and feminist ethics, right? uh, so we can first of all write on the core value of this, that it is about interdependence, social capital, cohesiveness. Then we can maybe write down the importance of interdependence for the society and for the work efficiency. It leads to synergy. As it is about life, so it says that life doesn't make any sense. So life, the primary purpose is the happiness, success, fulfillment, and all of this can be done while we synergize with each other, while because everyone has its own strength, right? One cannot do it all alone by himself or herself, right? So we need each other for each other's growth and development, right? So that's how this particular quote gets relevance. You can probably write down some example, any example of any impactful project wherein maybe the moon mission, or maybe any kind of government schemes or functioning. There are various departments associated, and various people, they have their own area of expertise, and they kind of synergize to make uh, for the greatest outcome, right? So that's why interdependence is required. It leads to good friendships, social bonding, right? Civil servants serve society with this concept of care and interdependence, right? And the ethical dimension, you can write a bit about ethics of care. You can write a bit about empathy, and we also require emotional intelligence, because until and unless we have emotional intelligence, we kind of won't be aware of ours and others emotions, and only then we'll be able to manage each other, right? So successful interdependence, or interdependence which leads to a great outcome, would require empathy, care, and emotional intelligence, right? So that is one of the quote. The second quote asked was by Dalai Lama: we can never obtain peace in the outer world until and unless we obtain peace within ourselves, right? So the core value here is peace. And if you see that this is about the inner peace, right? First of all, inner peace is important, then and only then we can get peace outside, right? So what does it mean to say? Basically it's about conflict resolution. If you see, we tend to uh, witness various conflicts inside of us and outside as well, right? So this particular statement, it gives more importance to the inner resolution of inner conflict, right? How do we resolve that? How the peace is useful for the individual and society and civil servants in particular. The distinguishing between the peace within and peace without, right? So peace within is very, very important. Unless and until we are at peace with ourselves, we are aware of ourselves, we are able to make a coherent atmosphere within ourselves, right? From our rational emotive understanding, we kind of get the hang of the situation in a more holistic way, so as if we are more calm and composed within, then we are able to deal with any kind of conflict or individual or situations in a much more efficient and effective manner in the outside scenario, right? So you can also write that rationality is important, emotional intelligence is important. There are four cardinal virtues given by Aristotle in his virtue ethics theory. So there also you have courage, which wisdom, temperance, all of that. But it somewhere or the other resonates with peace, right? So this is one of the important virtue you can write down, peace, right? So and we see it day in day out in our individual atmosphere, in the society, even in the international fora, how peace is very, very important for the general benefit of individual and society. You can maybe additionally write, if you know about the thoughts of Buddha and Gandhi on this, as well as the thoughts of Herbert Spencer, wherein he has talked about something called social Darwinism, in which the he talks about that the good of the individual is contained within the good of the all, right? And we need to kind of synergize or synchronize the individual and social interest, right? Social Darwinism he has talked about. So and this could be possible, this can be possible with peace, right? And peace, basically, if we have within, then and only then the society, the peace prevails in the society at large, right? So these are some of the things on which you can think and write down. See, essentially, these videos have just the imperative to give you a context, to showcase on what lines you can think and write down, and what is the expectation. In general, detailed solution of this would definitely vary with every individual, right? So I'm hinting you on the ways on which you can write down, giving you a perspective, and definitely we deal with this in our courses and all of that, right? So thank you and all the best.